Good evening from Berlin, everyone. I hope you and your families are safe and healthy. Thank you for being with us here today. I am Erica Madrinian. I am part of the partner marketing team responsible for educating our partners. Today is our 8th session. To our first timers, welcome to the Get Your Guide Partner Forum. This is a weekly webinar where we share knowledge and insights and provide you, our partners, the opportunity to ask us anything. Before I hand you over to the guest speaker, I want to go over how the session will work today. First, your audio, video, and chats are disabled, but at any point in the webinar, you can ask questions using the Q&A icon below. Before entering your question, though, check if someone has already asked a similar question, and you can simply upvote so there will be less duplicates. We'll make sure to answer as much questions as we can during the Q&A session at the end. Lastly, after the webinar, we will send a follow-up email with the recording, the presentation, and some helpful links, and a feedback form that will continuously help us improve our sessions moving forward. Thank you again for being with us here today, and let's get started. For today's Partner Forum, our guest speaker will share how you can attract your user in every micro moment of the customer journey with the right content and the right offer. Our speaker is from an award-winning company for SEO experts and content marketing. We have Bjorn Darko. He is the Director of Digital Strategies Group EMEA from Search Metrics. He is leading the consulting unit based in Berlin, and throughout his career, he has successfully developed SEO strategies for large companies such as Ringier and the Ricardo Group, the largest e-commerce platform in Switzerland. And of course, at the end, we will have our usual Ask Me Anything session with Bjorn and Dennis. Thank you again for being with us here today, Bjorn, and you can take it away. Bjorn, you can share your screen. Perfect. Can share your screen? Let me check. There you go.
Ah, okay. I wasn't able to unmute myself, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, hello from my side as well, dear partners from Get Your Guide. I hope I can bring you some entertainment today. Let me just share my screen, and then we will go through how I see you can actually catch your users if you always think about the correct user journey. So the presentation title today is From Dreaming to Booking, Catch Your Users in Every Moment. My name is Bjorn Darko. Thanks for the invitation. You can follow me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram, where I'm running own IGTV SEO show. So you can subscribe to that. It's very fun. But let's kick this off. So every journey actually starts with a search. Everyone who's booking a trip, who's booking a tour, goes to Google, goes through Google, and tries to find as much information, as much deals, as much discounts as possible. And an online search was actually unbroken until COVID-19 came in, and I strongly believe it's just pausing now. As soon as we are getting back to normal, the trend will continue definitely. But here you see the Google Trend chart, Google Trend screenshot from weekend for the search term weekend gateway, and there are plenty of other travel and leisure related search terms which are unbroken in search. Where do we search? The majority of searches are no wonder happening on Google, especially in Germany and Europe, but also in the US. They have the majority of share in the search engine market. I think in Germany is nearly 97%. And if you just look at the distribution of searches online, then you see that like nearly 70% in the US is searched on the Google web search. Then we have 21% or 22% actually on Google Images and 3.1% on YouTube, which actually means that already the majority, nearly 90%, is on Google properties. We have Yahoo then with 1.6%, and there's Amazon for product-related searches and other search engines, but they don't really play a huge role. So Google is the search engine which actually helps us to find everything we're searching for. And search engines are very important for reach. So this website is a trusted travel booking engine, and their biggest traffic source, nearly 70%, is through search. It's not direct, it's not referrals, it's not email, it's search. So it's very relevant, and therefore it's very important that you do SEO, you do content marketing, and you secure your biggest traffic channel and improve it, of course. So let's take a user who books a trip, right? So if a user books a trip, they normally, go through different websites. They want to rent a car, they want to book a hotel, they want to, book a flight. And Google found out that actually an average user who want to get away, so who want to book something and go to somewhere, comes across 7,000 digital touch points. So, and in this case study, they revealed that there are 534 Google searches performed, 1,400 images they have seen, or nearly 50% were using an online travel agency, 20% maps, and so on and so forth. So it's very relevant, and a various, various sources they actually come across with. And all these 7,000 digital touch points actually are within 4 months. So usually it takes 4 months from the moment somebody really wants to go away until they really have booked everything. So it's a huge planning process for people. And Google calls it actually micro moments in a customer journey. And what they mean with micro moments is that, like, everything a user does within this 4 months, you have to see or you have to consider a so-called customer journey. And they say, like, the step one is the I want to get away moments, where you're dreaming, that these are your dreaming moments, where you're dreaming to go to that particular beach, or you want to do this romantic trip with your fiance. The step two is a time to make a plan moment. So where you really find your consideration to go to Paris, to go to London, and then you make a plan. So you're researching what you can do, you're researching how you can get there, etc. pp. Step three is let's book it moment. So you found your deals, you found the supply who brings you there, and all of that, and you really book everything you want to. And the step four is the can't wait to explore moment. So you're there where you wanted to go, and you're experience now every moment when you are in the city, or when you are doing a trip, tour, whatever. And what you actually can do is, like, you take those moments and you build your own customer journey, because it's very important that you deliver always the right content to the user, and depending on the phase they are actually in when they want to book. So what I've done now for you is I try to draw a customer journey which might be helpful as a template for you as well. So on the top, you see the phases Google considers in their micro moment theory. And I also added some phases into it. So we have a trigger, we have planning, we have preparation, we have the journey. I have to get this picture right. The experience, the travel home, so traveling back home, and then nostalgia. On the left side, you see a target, emotions and feelings, actions, and actually touch points. So let's start. The trigger is that somebody is thinking about a trip, right? So they are motivated to book a trip by internal or external factors, and they really want to go somewhere. So they're starting to make a plan. Usually the emotions are very high, then, because you're excited, you're dreaming yourself away, you're super excited. And then you come into the planning phase, where you try to identify your possibilities, right? Where to go, how, with whom, how much can it cost, what, etc. pp. And there you also get in get in contact with some touch points. Like normally it's Google, but it can also be Instagram as a discovery platform, Facebook, or even GetYourGuide, right? And normally then the emotions and the feelings are going down a bit because it's so much they offer and there's so much possibilities to choose from that it's kind of overwhelming at one point. But as soon as you are actually certain what to do, the emotions and feelings are going up again. And then there's the tipping point when we actually go into the phase of preparation. Let's book it. So in the booking phase is something which is really, really important, that you reduce all the noise. You know, it can be that, you know, a user is surprised that the price, for example, isn't the same as offered when he was researching, or that the booking, you know, the booking process is so complicated and, you know, it breaks up, it doesn't load fast enough, stuff like that, that it can be really frustrating. So you have to make sure that it's, you know, a really a lean process and very, very fast and very, you know, not so complex. Within this booking, you have the review, you have payment, you have the confirmation, and then actually share the confirmation via email. Hey, you're ready to set up for your next trip. And here the digital touch points, of course, can be Get Your Guide, the internet, especially. Let's jump into the next phase, which is the actual journey. So you've booked your trip weeks prior traveling. You already make some research, arrange some stuff. You check the weather. You check what you need to pack, stuff like that. You're going on your trip and you're using actually different transport possibilities. You might fly. You might take a train. You might, you know, take the car. And also here you have always to consider that the emotions and feelings of people can go down because they can be in a traffic jam. You know, they, you know, didn't catch their flights. There was an accident, whatever. But this is actually very important, that you as a, you know, you as a partner, or you who is offering something, is always open for contact. So whenever there's something is happening as an accident, for example, that they can call you and, you know, can actually give you notice that it takes a bit longer, stuff like that. But then, you know, it's an up and down while the journey takes place. You, and you're then actually landing or you're getting at the place you want to go, and then you can really start to experience. So you arrived in your hotel, you arrived at your destination, and then you're super happy actually that you made it. And then there are various triggers which people are searching on Google, or they discover again over Instagram or Facebook, which can actually help them to experience the destination they are. And this is for the time when they taking the weekend trip or 2 weeks holidays, whatever. Then they travel back to home, and it's the same as you know, going on the journey. They're taking different transport opportunities. It's going up and down, but as soon as they're at home, they you know, they try to remember. They have positive feelings about everything. They want to share their experience, and here you can actually create nostalgia, and I will go into what I mean with it later on. So this is kind of the customer journey I was actually drawing. And if you now take search phrases into consideration, if somebody is really going to Google, is researching, they consider where to go, and then they really want to book, you have to see search phrases and search terms, especially for your specific keyword set, in different, you know, clusters, same as a customer journey. So awareness, consideration, transaction, and customer relationship. And usually the higher you are in the sales funnel or in the awareness funnel, the higher the search volume. You know, the lower you come in the funnel, the smaller the search volume, because just few people are searching for it. And here it's very important that you already catch people top of funnel with content, and I will show you how and why. So let's go back to this customer journey, and we start with the planning phase. If somebody is typing something into Google, then Google tries to understand the intention. Here the example is somebody is looking for the most romantic cities in Europe, and Google tries to understand, okay, he doesn't know where to go. he wants to do a romantic trip. Maybe he needs images, etc. pp. What does Google? Google delivers for this specific search term a fast answer already in a so-called featured snippet, which is already above the fold, right? And this is nothing which Google actually has written. This is something, you know, a travel blog has written. They have written about the top 10, you know, romantic destinations in Europe. Let's dive a bit deeper into this listing. So this featured snippet is actually curated from this listing page where I can't read it. Planner Aware was writing about the 15 top rated weekend getaways from London. And what follows is, you know, a list of 15 destinations, right? And you can actually, you see that you instantly land on this result on Google. It's very prominent, it's above the fold. You can't actually avoid not clicking on it. Then you land on the page, and what you can do already here is, like they do, that you actually link to other, you know, posts or other listings. But what you can also do is build in already a conversion trigger. And I've seen this with a lot of travel websites which do it really, really well. They try to grab the user through the featured snippet, top of funnel, and then try to convert them. Hey, you're interested in the top destinations in Europe, book your flight right now, or book your hotel right now, book your tour right now. If you scroll down after this featured snippet, what you will see is a further results with just top listings. You will see a lot of, you know, similar results, 17 amazing weekend trips, you know, 15 best romantic places in the world. You know, it goes on and it goes on. The one thing which you can also, you know, appear in is a so-called people also ask box. And this is what you probably have seen if you're looking for something. This is a so-called accordion where, you know, Google displays different questions users were typing into Google. And what they do here is the same with the feature snippet. They curate the content and scrape the content and display it already. If you click on one of the accordion, it always will expand and you get a direct and instant answer to that particular question. And you can actually prepare yourself for this, or you can prepare your blog for this if you actually you know, use the HTML markup and use the structure in your content so that Google can actually read it out perfectly. And on mobile, it's a bit paradox because you know, you need a lot of content and content is king. You all heard this, but on mobile is actually less more. So we at Searchmetrics, we do quite regularly evaluate what ranking factors are in different industries you can find. And in travel, we figured out that on mobile, the word count on particular URLs or domains who are ranking really high are 30% lower than on desktop, which is a clear sign, you know, less content on mobile pages, but also you need a lot of content in order to get into those boxes, for example. But here again, you need to think about the user intent so that you don't overwhelm the user, but satisfy the intent the user has. There's another thing that we figured out, that 21.6% are searching via Google Images. And Google Images, or images in general, are very, very important when it comes to travel, right? Somebody wants to experience a destination, a beach, you know, a sightseeing, which they never saw before. So they want to have a visual experience. So this is then very important that you actually check how important images are for your keyword set. And I'm working for a company, it's called Searchmetrics. We have a software and we actually provide for every domain how important images are for a specific keyword set, meaning how and on what percentage is Google actually showing images on a search result. And if you just look at the keyword set of GetYourGuide, then you see that for all the keywords GetYourGuide is ranking 27% nearly of the keyword set gets an image spit out by Google. So it's very important that you have images and that you maintain your images and optimize your images correctly. This means that you use descriptive text in URL and alt captions. So if you just look at this picture here, then you see it's ranking prominently in position #1 for a romantic trip in Europe. And if you go on a website and you look into the source code, then you see that they use alt attributes, and they have a really descriptive name in the alt attribute, which is best romantic destinations in Europe. They also use a very descriptive URL, which is best romantic destinations in Europe. So this is perfect. You should also use image compression and caching for fast delivery, because normally images are very heavy, and especially on mobile, they can reduce the page speed quite significantly. So what you can do, actually, you can use a caching, which means that on the server, you can implement a caching rule so that the browser, whenever it's taking the picture, knows, okay, this picture doesn't change that often, so I cache it in the browser. So whenever there's a user coming back and back and back again, the browser doesn't need to reload the image. This is quite good. There's also a compression technology is called Broadly, which is, I think, bought by Google already, which is compressing the images before or when you put it on the server, on your database already by 60 to 70%, which is quite good. So you should actually use it. Speak to the developer and use it. You can also use an alternative and faster image format. So most of the people, or most of the companies, they're still using JPEG, for example, which is a very, very old image format, right? And there are alternative and way faster image formats, such as WebP. If you use WebP, you can have an already compressed image without quality loss, for example. Most of the companies I've seen, especially in travel, especially if you're a smaller website, or especially if you are a travel blog, they don't use an CDN, a content delivery network. So what you should do is not putting all your media files on your server, but using a content delivery network, which is normally an external, delivery network, where they can deliver all your media way faster than your server can. So you can reduce a lot of load. Okay, we are still in the planning phase here, right? So let's jump into the next search, Google search. So Google tries to understand the intention. That's what I just said, right? So somebody's looking now for a romantic hotel for two in Paris, because they discovered, okay, Paris would be a good destination to go which is very romantic. Let's search for some hotels, right? Google then tries to understand the intention and says, okay, they are looking for a hotel. It's 2 persons. They doesn't know when yet, because there's no date in there. He or she is 1,500 kilometers far away. He wants to go to Paris. So what does Google? Google is actually showing a listing pack of hotels quite immediately above the fold again. And this is very, very prominent and apart from a normal organic search result, right? And you, as a hotel owner, or whatever you have as a local business, should always make sure that you are appearing in its so-called Google My Business. You might have heard of it. So what you can do is, like, you register yourself, you register your business for Google My Business, and then you go in there and maintain. Give me 1 second, please. 1 second. Sorry, guys. I have 3 kids. I'm working from home, so it's a bit complex. But anyways, so what I just said is register your business, your local business in Google My Business, and you can make sure that you will actually land in the local pack or the local listings at Google. This is very, very important. What you should do in order to, what you also should do in order to, for Google to, evaluate if all the data you have there and all the information you gave into Google My Business is correct. What they will do is like they try to, evaluate your website and check the address and contact information. So you should always make sure that you have your address and contact details consistent and visible on the site somewhere where Google knows, okay, I can actually double check if this is still okay, if this is still right. Secondly, you should use a so-called schema markup for local businesses. So go to schema.org. There's a schema markup you can implement on the website, which Google helps to understand where are the local business information, such as opening hours, such as contact details are findable. And lastly, you should also use local listings, because if you have a website like Yelp or you have like other social listings, what Google is doing is they double check also on those local listing services if all the information they have about you, opening hours, contact, telephone number, is correct. So use these three sources in order to make sure that Google gets always the full picture. And again, here, if you, we are still at the search phrase, romantic hotels for two in Paris, and you scroll down after the local and hotel listing, and you still see like 10 out of 10 organic results lead to a listing. So a listing is always, if you land then on a landing page, there's a curation of 10 different, hotels. What you can do is to get more exposure, because you have 10 out of 10 listings with nearly the same titles, like top 10 or amazing, the best amazing 10, whatever. What you can do is like you get a bit more exposure if you use the so-called FAQ markup. And this company is using it quite well. What you see in the result, that's the organic result. And underneath the organic result, you see an accordion with a Q&A format, right? And how did they do it? It's a quite rich result at Google. How did they do it? So if you click on this link here, you land on the page, or what they have underneath the listing as a very, very long Q&A content. So frequently asked questions about romantic hotels. And then they have a question and they give the answer. How can they appear in Google like that? Because they're using, again, a schema markup, which is called the FAQ schema markup, which you need to put on that content in the source code, and then you will appear quite prominently and rich in the Google result for your FAQ markup. You can also use and test your implementation. There's a cool tool which is called the test tool for structured data. You put in your URL, and then you can test if the FAQ markup is correctly implemented. Okay, let's jump to the next phase, which is the let's book it, or the preparation phase. So you're starting to organize your trip. And here Google gave out a pretty cool asset, which is called the UX playbook for travel. So they give you the best practices and really good recommendations how to improve your usability, which is amazing. And if we just look at it, then you have like some, in this phase booking, we are just looking now at the booking phase, right? They give you a very concrete recommendation, which we can have a look at now. So whenever somebody is trying to, collect something, want to book something, Google is recommending that you always show the end price through the entire process. And this company here is doing it at the very bottom. Whenever you click on something or you navigate somewhere, it always will keep the same price there, so that the users can be confident they get what they want for the same price, or the price which was advertised. Also, when you do the checkout, you should guarantee security. And Google is recommending here that you use different security signals and different, stuff which makes the user feel very secure and comfortable while booking, because it's a very sensitive process, you know, in the booking phase when somebody's giving their credit card details, and you know, just want to book. So it's the last confirmation, let's say. Thirdly, you should always show the progress through the entire booking phase, because what we know from booking forms, they can be quite long. There's a lot of steps which you need to do and you need to go, so that you actually show a progress bar here at the top, just as this company is doing it. Also, you should use easy payment via mobile phone, because this is very, you know, seamless, you know, when you can directly pay with your phone without actually typing in long numbers and, you know, typing in your credit card details. Also, when somebody is searching for a specific location, for example, give them some help here and use, for example, the Google Places API, where they already recommend the exact location with street and city, or even city codes. And thirdly, you should always create urgency to increase conversion. That's what Google is recommending as well. And Airbnb does it quite well. You know, there are other booking platforms which say, hey, 50 other persons are currently looking at this offer, so you better be fast. And this is what they mean with urgency. Okay, so let's jump now into the journey phase, where we actually go on our way, we're going on the trip, and we use different transport possibilities, which we can't really impact, because you know, they booked a flight with, I don't know, British Airways, they use a rental car, they take the train, so you can't actually influence this or impact this. All you can do is like being ready that they contact you whenever there's something happening, such as an accident, or they will be late, stuff like that, because it can be really frustrating if they can't reach you. Okay, then jump to the next one, which is experience. So you are at the destination, landed there, and now you want to explore what you can do. Here, Google again tries to understand the intention. When you, with your mobile phone, you're in the hotel, you type into Google things to do in Paris. Google tries to understand what you want to see. It's like, is it sightseeing stuff which is near me? Is it a bank? Is it a restaurant? Are there any events? And you know, this can be various searches based on different activities, you know, such as events like concerts, which is again here displayed in a very prominent way. And if you have any events on your website, again, use schema markup in order to make sure that Google understands that you have events on your website. Same with sightseeing. Again, here, this is a featured snippet. I already told you that you have to structure your content in a particular way. Use paragraphs, use unordered list or ordered list, or even tables if it fits to the content you want to display. And lastly, there are restaurants, which is again, if you're a restaurant owner, here a local pack. So make sure you go into Google My Business. And then there's the phase where people are actually going back home. Again, here you can't really influence it because they use different possibilities by train, by car, by plane. You can just make sure that they actually departed happy, because what they do then is they land at home and they want to share their experience, and they're really happy what they actually experience with you, with other vendors. And here just some last 3 ideas how you can actually create nostalgia, and you can connect and stay in contact with your you know, customers, and make sure that they're coming back. There's one idea, especially you're in France, food is really good. So send them newsletters with recipes which they can cook when you experience that they really like coq au vin, for example. But you can also do make sure that they add you on Instagram, for example. This is an island resort where I've been last year, and I'm pretty amazed how they do it, their job on Instagram, where they share photos. They make it possible to, you know, book it directly through Instagram. I can always contact them And for me, it's perfect because it was a really nice place, and I really want to go back there. And another good idea from a company here in Germany as well, it's called Urlaubsguru. What they do is like they have a Spotify playlist, which they share with people who are going on a specific beach, going on a specific destination, so that they can always keep on listening the music they used to listen on their destination. That's it from my side. I'm happy to answer all the questions if there are some. Sorry, it took a bit longer. Sorry for the interruption, but I think you can all understand it.
No, that is no problem. That we are in very unique situations, Bjorn, so that is no issue at all. But before I proceed with a Q&A, actually, I just want to share a quick poll to our participants. So just 30 to 50 seconds for you to answer one quick poll. Let me launch that right now. In the meantime, while you're answering the poll or when you've answered it, please make sure to put all of your questions in the Q&A icon below, and Dennis or Bjorn will answer all of your questions. Let's wait for 15 more seconds. Great. All right. In the meantime, we can actually answer some questions already, Björn. Great. So our first question is from Elizabeth. Her question is about the Gutenberg's block FAQ. Do you know if Google likes it for its featured snippets?
The Gutenberg block. So
yeah.
I guess what she means is at WordPress, the Gutenberg, content editor.
I would assume.
I would assume. I think I actually have no idea. I have no idea if there are already schema markups implemented. What you can do is, like, if you already publish a piece of content, take this URL, go to the testing tool for structured data by Google, put it into the testing tool, and then you will see if there's already structured data on that piece. If not, then I'm pretty sure there are plenty of plugins which you can use in order to create such schema markup.
Cool. Elizabeth, if that didn't answer your question, feel free to just ask again, and Björn will be more than happy to. Our next question is from Felipe, which I guess is the #1 question that's happening in this world. So what's the strategy considering the current COVID-19 situation?
Well, I mean, yeah, especially in travel, it's quite hard in the moment, I can imagine. But I'm pretty confident because, as soon as this crisis is over, everybody needs to go on holiday. Everybody really wants to go on holiday. So we actually are working with a travel agency together. They called us, they said, hey, we have no bookings at the moment. We have nothing to do. What we really want to do is to make the relaunch happen, which we are, postponing all the time. So this is actually a perfect situation, even though you can use the resources you have now and prepare yourself for post-COVID. Because as I said, everybody needs to go on holiday. Everybody is now saving their holidays and they need to use it. So there will be a run on all those platforms again, and you'll be better prepared. Yeah,
most especially that restrictions are loosening up anyway, so we can look forward to that.
I think I read yesterday that in Germany, the travel warning will be cancelled after 15th of June. So, which means after 15th of June, we all can go on holiday and fly again.
Yeah, that is amazing news. I hope that excites everybody. Our next question is again from Elizabeth. I am a local in Paris and I have a travel blog about Paris. Can I register in Google My Business? Perhaps like this, when somebody searches for things to do in Paris, Google can push my article because I am a travel blog based in Paris.
No, I'm sorry. You can just register for Google My Business if you have a local business. If you're running a travel blog, that's not really a local business. So I'm sorry. But what you can do is, like, you can use a lot of schema markups, as I said, to make sure that your content gets exposed, such as, at the featured snippet, or these people also ask boxes, or, make sure that all your pictures getting indexed and correctly. There's a lot of basic SEO you can do anyways.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. A question from Melvin. What do you recommend to find the right search keywords? I'm assuming these are tools. If not,
Yeah.
you can also clarify, Melvin. But yeah, what would be your answer for that, Björn?
So there are plenty of tools. Of course, the best one is search metrics. No wonder. What you can do here is that we have a module or a section on the platform which is called Keyword Discovery. This is actually pretty awesome because you type in one keyword and it gives you plenty of variations. You can also research questions which people might have based on a specific keyword, which you then can actually use for the FAQ content, for example, or for featured snippets. Because if you always answer a question a user has, then the possibilities are very high that you appear in a featured snippet. It's a question and answer system, actually. So yeah, use search metrics, of course. Call me.
We'll send your contact number after. Question from Alexander. My site is WordPress, and as I understood, there's no way to implement web photos on WordPress. Is there any solution?
Web photos.
Web P photos? I'm not sure if that's an error. Maybe you can clarify.
WebP.
WebP.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, WebP photos, sorry.
I have a blog. I'm running a blog and I implemented WebP. I think it was through a plugin, but let me check. I can you sending show notes out?
Yes, we will. Yeah.
So maybe I can share the plugin I'm using for WebP.
That would be great. We can also just include it in our share out email for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. Our next question is from Andrew. Thank you, Björn. I'd love to understand the conversion implications for appearing in the Google snippet or Google card. Does it drive significantly more traffic to the website? Personally, I usually only read the card's information and don't click on it and continue to scroll down to other results.
Yeah, that's an amazing question. And this is a great discussion in the SEO industry as well. And my answer to this is because I tested a lot. I was working for a huge publishing site and I tested when the featured snippets and all those rich results came out, I tested a lot. But you need to make sure in order to grab that traffic, try to focus on featured snippets which you can't really answer just in a few sentences. Meaning, if you have, for example, a disease like COVID now, you get an instant answer, but make sure that it breaks up in the line. I think it's 40 words. It's spaced for 40 words in that box, and then Google shows a show me more. If you click on the show me more, you land on the page. So you need to make sure that the snippet is cut off somehow, that somebody doesn't get the full answer. For example, this is one thing, but there are plenty of examples, and you're completely right, where you don't get any traffic anymore because people stay on Google because they get the instant answer. So I think it's you need to come up actually with a SERP strategy. Look at the keyword set you're running, and then make sure that those information which need more than just a few sentences are displayed in a featured snippet with this show me more link. This would be one example.
Cool. Our next question is from Felipe. This is based from your presentation. What is the user profile or persona based to make the customer journey research?
So my customer journey, or in general?
Maybe you can answer both.
Well, so for my customer journey, I just looked at, somebody who is trying to make a trip and trying to go to a, to make a romantic weekend in Paris. But this is just out of my head. It's very important that you're looking at your users in your analytics or whatever you have as a tool, and try to create personas for yourself. This is nothing I can actually answer, because there might be different personas based on various industries and various search terms. Some might be older, some might be younger, some might be more interested in X, Y, Z. This is, depending on the business you're running. So I
Yeah.
can't, yeah.
But I guess the phases that you created, the trigger, planning, preparation, journey, experience, travel, home, and nostalgia, is that based on any specific customer
No, this
persona?
is
No.
out of my head. Creativity.
Okay. Very
But
cool.
you can use it as a template. I can just share the one slide so that you can edit it, and then you can use it
Yeah.
as a template.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's really based on their Google Analytics and how their customers or how their viewers go through their website anyway. Yeah. Another question from Elizabeth. Google's accordions, people also ask. I did not understand how can we prepare our blogs for it. Maybe you can explain a little.
Yeah, sure. So the people also ask box is actually based on the same principle as a featured snippet, which you see above the fold. It's a question and answer system, right? So all you can do for this is actually try to research the questions people have, and you can use people also ask because it's an amazing inspiration source. Make sure you grab all those questions and directly answer these questions. So what you usually do is you have a headline or a sub-headline, H2 or H3, with the question. You give the instant answer in the following paragraph and make sure that you build your content in that way. And this actually helps you to get into the people also ask section if Google thinks this is relevant.
Great. My next question is from Matthew. With so much content being created, everyone is creating content. Does organic work as well as it used to?
No, not really. And you've seen, like, if you're searching for specific phrases and everybody comes up with the 15 top amazing and the best 10 best, and it's not very, there's not a big differentiator. But what I wanted to point out with the presentation is that you can use specific SERP features, like people also ask FAQ markups, featured snippets, and there are plenty of others. You can use those in order to be a bit more exposed by Google or get more exposure by Google, because you need to kind of stand out of this top 15 everything is amazing bubble, and there you need to be creative. And I always try to tell people that you need to think of, like in future, think about a SERP strategy rather than a keyword strategy or a website strategy, because Google, yes, keeps most of the users on the site, and if you want to appear in those boxes, and which is good for your branding as well, you need to look at the specific SERP features and then try to come up with a strategy.
Okay. Our next question is from George. I have a new affiliate travel blog, which isn't focused in a specific niche or local market. What would be the best to implement first to bring some traffic? Like the number one thing I should start doing tomorrow. I have done 40 blog posts already. Thanks.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What would be the best to implement first to bring some traffic? So maybe the number one thing he could bring, the number one tip you can share that could bring traffic to his new website.
So it's a new website.
Yeah.
There are so many things without looking at the site, it's really hard to say. But in general, if you try to make it very fast, page speed is a huge thing. If you try to make it really fast, very usable, if you structure your content in the right way, that you have a lot of tables and bullet points and images and videos, if it's very usable, very readable, and it fulfills the search intent. That's very important for Google as well, that you don't just write because you have a really good writing skill, but you need to fulfill the search intent. If somebody is searching for the top 15, or if somebody's searching for the most romantic destinations in the world, then you need to write a listing, because this is what the user wants to see. And the best example for search intent, it's still, like, I think it's 5 years old now or 6 years old, I don't know, but it still describes it as best. is if somebody is searching for Halloween costumes, they don't want to read a novel, but they want as an image gallery. So it doesn't matter. So you need to come up with an image gallery, have maybe some descriptive words to it, but don't write a novel. That's actually for me still the best example when it comes to search intent.
Well, I hope that's very helpful. um, this is a question that maybe Dennis or Björn can answer actually, from Melvin. What's your top tip to include Get Your Guide services in travel related articles with a focus on driving conversions or bookings?
Yeah, what you can do normally, like if you do affiliate, you put links in there, of course. We made tests that links within a text are getting more clicks than if you have like related articles or related products box. So links within a text getting the highest clicks. This is very good. What I also really like is if you have like in between boxes which are really relevant. Let's say you have the top beaches in California, the most beautiful beaches. And then you read through the list and then you have one conversion trigger which says, hey, do you like this beach? You can book a hotel directly at the beach right now. This is a very good example. And it's not topic relevant, but it's something I tested when I was working for a huge e-commerce website. We were creating how-to content, how to build garden furniture with this Euro pallets. You know what a Euro pallet is, right? And what we did is we put links in there and say, hey, in order to do this, you need a saw, you need a screwdriver, you need this, that. And we then linked it actually to the platform so that everybody could buy the equipment they need in order to build garden furniture from Euro pallets. So
Yeah.
think about this. It needs to be very relevant and something a user wants to expect when they read content. But normally these boxes in between and links in text are working quite well.
Okay, cool. So a question from Marcus, which I think has also been asked a few times. Did you experience any significant changes in the Google algorithm in the past year? Or maybe you can share some news if you know any about the algorithm.
Well, there are a lot of algorithm updates. There was just recently one. You know, in the last year or last 2 years, there were, of course, a lot of significant changes in the Google algorithm as well, but like the majority of them actually have the same pattern. What Google tries to do in order to improve the algorithm is to make sure that the domains who are ranking best for particular search phrases are covering the expertise, the authority, and the trust. So meaning that the content is really written by experts, that a lot of external signals pointing to that content, which gives Google the idea that there should be an authority. You know, if you take a scientific article, for example, the more links it has or the more quotes it has, the more authoritative it is. So you need to also come up with content which is link worthy, it's shareable, and people trust. This is one thing. So this EAT thing is a big thing. So usability is quite a huge factor. If you make sure that you know, your users are finding what they're looking for immediately without making them actually click through various pages on a website and search and actually bring them quite rapidly to a conversion. This is something which Google values really high as well. And then what I just said in the beginning, search intent is a huge factor for Google. So make sure that you always fulfill the search intent and structure the website with schema markups, for example, which gives Google a good idea what the website purpose is and what the website is about. This is very important as well. And then, of course, you know, rich media and, you know, content structure. There are plenty of stuff, but this is like the pattern which went through the last updates: usability, authority, trust, expertise, and search intent.
Cool. Our next question is from Caroline. You talked earlier about the length of the articles. Some of my articles may have 5,000 words or more. Do you advise to split them into 2 articles?
It depends. If it fulfills the search intent, I don't know what the topic is about, but if it's something which needs a lot of explanation, then you should definitely stick to the one page. But if in the text there are different search intents satisfied, then you could actually think about splitting it rather than consolidating it. It depends and is depending on the search intent, I'd say.
Okay. Our next question is from Melvin. I think we have 3 more minutes.
I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Erica.
Okay. Björn, you're good? We can hear you, Björn. Can you hear us?
I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, that's weird.
Let me take the next question.
You can take that. Yeah, okay. Our next question is from Melvin, and it's Get Your Guide related anyway. Does add links get more clicks than Get Your Guide widgets?
Yeah, so first of all, the answer is it depends a little bit on what website you have, but assuming that you have actually a website with a lot of content, then yes, like for like, links convert better than the widget. However, best is to combine the two because the widget has some advantages that the deep link doesn't, which, for example, is that, although that's actually very soon to come, including retargeting so that we can display the same tour and activity that the user has already looked at on some other platform or website. And then also that in terms of format, it's basically adding, and it has also an endorsing impact. So the combination is usually the best.
Cool, thanks. Can you already hear us, Björn? All good? Yeah. I think we can answer 2 more questions. From Yarko, what's the correlation between your Google rankings, Ian, and the amount of JavaScripts like Get Your Guide widgets on your page? Oh, we cannot hear you, Björn. Do you have any inputs on this, Dennis, or?
Not really.
Too technical for us. Björn, we cannot hear you still. Let me see. Let me see.
Let's try it like this. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. That's so much better. Yes.
It's a technique. I don't know the JavaScript widget, but in general, Google and JavaScript, it's still very complicated. So if you have really important content, you definitely shouldn't put it into JavaScript, but you should put it into the HTML. So are those widgets important? Is that important content which is?
So for Get Your Guide, our online publishers can integrate Get Your Guide in 2 ways. It's deep links and widgets. So and that's why they're asking that. Yeah. Yeah,
but then I guess it's duplicate content anyway, right? Because they're grabbing it from Get Your Guide, and Get Your Guide has the same content. Am I assuming that correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, Dennis?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's linking to products and services that are basically on our website, yes.
Yeah, so then maybe it's good that you hide it in JavaScript, because then you would actually create a lot of duplication on the web, which Google can't really handle and doesn't like.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think we have any more time for questions, but I will forward these questions to you actually, Bjorn, so you can have us answer it and we can respond back to the partners.
So many questions.
I know, I told you, our partners are very engaging and they're very interested in your talk. But thank you so much to all the partners who attended. I hope it was very helpful. And of course, I would like to thank you again, Bjorn, for being part of our partner forum. I think it was very helpful and I think our partners are really interested in this topic. And I hope we can invite you again next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.